Have you ever seen a tennis star rise so quickly that even established battle-tested champions start feeling the suffocating weight of pressure? Because that is exactly what is happening right now in the world of sports with Alex Eala. The French Open has officially released its 2026 main draw list, and one specific name has stunned the entire tennis ecosystem, sending shockwaves through locker rooms and media centers alike. Alex Eala has secured a highly coveted direct spot in the main draws of Roland Garros. This means she will bypass the grueling, brutal qualifying rounds, a gauntlet that breaks many promising players before the tournament even begins. According to reports circulating rapidly around the tennis world, this unprecedented decision has left many people surprised and some quietly furious. Among those deeply affected is Paula Badosa. For Badosa, this is a bitter and difficult reality to accept. She is still one of the most respected and feared names in women's tennis. She has been a top-ranked player, she has shed blood, sweat, and tears on the court, she has won massively important matches, and she has spent years building a formidable reputation. But tennis is an unforgiving sport, and now the spotlight is aggressively shifting. The media attention, the commercial hype, the deafening fan support, and even the tournament organizers' confidence are all moving rapidly toward Alex Eala. Honestly, this moment says absolutely everything about how massive Eala's rise has become. The French Open is making a bold statement. They are not just rewarding pure mathematical rankings anymore. They are rewarding cultural impact. They are rewarding unstoppable momentum. They are rewarding pure audience attraction. And right now, Alex Eala monopolizes all of it. What makes this reality even more shocking and perhaps harder for veterans to swallow is that Eala's season has not been a flawless fairy tale. She has had noticeable ups and downs, she has struggled in certain grueling matches, she has shown the inconsistency you would expect from a rising star. But despite all of those imperfections, tournament organizers still firmly believe she deserves a direct place among the biggest, most established stars on earth. That tells you one thing with crystal clarity. The tennis world sees Alex Eala not just as a player, but as the undeniable future of the sport. And Paula Badosa may not be loving that reality right now. Imagine being a player who has spent a decade fighting tooth and nail at the top level, dealing with injuries and intense media scrutiny, only to see a young, vibrant sensation suddenly leapfrog ahead in terms of global attention and tournament trust. That has to hurt on a deeply personal level. But let us be brutally honest here. Alex Eala has earned this moment in her own unique way. This seismic shift did not happen overnight. This journey started building volcanic momentum months ago, specifically down under during the Australian Open. Fans in Melbourne were absolutely obsessed with watching Eala play. It was not just support, it was a movement. Videos went viral across TikTok and Instagram, showing impossibly long lines of spectators waiting outside outer courts just to get a glimpse of her warming up. People were arriving at the gates at dawn, sprinting to grab unreserved seats before the stadiums filled to absolute capacity. And remember, this was not a semi-final or a final, this was early round tennis. This was simply the Alex Eala effect. Tournament organizers noticed the shift in the wind immediately. The atmosphere around her matches was completely different from anything else on the grounds. Younger fans connected instantly with her raw energy and unapologetic passion. Asian tennis supporters rallied behind her in unprecedented numbers, waving flags and chanting her name. Casual viewers who normally only watch the finals became emotionally invested in her underdog story. Social media numbers did not just grow, they exploded every single time she stepped onto the court. That level of magnetic audience attraction matters in modern tennis a lot. Grand Slam organizers are running a business and they want players who bring electricity, compelling storylines, and global television ratings. Alex Eala checks every single one of those boxes with a thick, bold marker. Then came the Miami Open. This was the exact location where the narrative permanently shifted. Miami was the tournament that convinced the skeptics and the analysts that Alex Eala was no longer just a promising young talent. She became a serious lethal threat in world tennis. Her run under the Florida sun shocked veteran commentators and die-hard fans alike. She played a brand of fearless, suffocating tennis. Her lateral movement looked significantly sharper. Her mental confidence looked completely unshatterable. Her shot making became far more aggressive and clinical. She stopped simply surviving baseline rallies and started actively dictating points against elite top 10 opponents. And the biggest, most undeniable statement of all, her spectacular victory over Coco Gauff. That specific win completely transformed the trajectory of her career, defeating a reigning Grand Slam champion and one of the most recognizable faces in women's sports instantly gave Eala ironclad credibility on the biggest stage. It proved she could handle the suffocating pressure of a packed stadium. It proved she could trade heavy ground strokes with top-tier world-class athletes. And most importantly, it proved she belonged in the elite circle. Even after the dust settled in Miami, her performances continued generating massive headlines. At Indian Wells, surrounded by the desert mountains, she once again showed blinding flashes of brilliance. While she may not have lifted the championship trophy, she demonstrated a level of tactical maturity and emotional composure far beyond her actual age. Tennis experts began breaking down her court IQ, highlighting her strategic improvements, her brilliant use of angles, and her growing confidence when facing down elite-level competition. When you look deeper into this trajectory, the French Open's controversial decision actually makes perfect business and sporting sense. They see a player whose popularity is exploding on a global scale, capable of becoming the face of women's tennis for the next decade. And let us not ignore another massive, undeniable factor here: the vocal support Eala is receiving from the absolute legends of the sport. One of the biggest names directly connected to her rise is Novak Djokovic. When a 24-time Grand Slam champion like Djokovic publicly praises a young athlete, the entire sporting world stops and takes notes. Djokovic understands raw talent and mental fortitude better than almost anyone in tennis history. He knows exactly what future greatness looks like because he forged it within himself under immense pressure. Reports surrounding Eala's camp suggest that Djokovic has been highly impressed by her Spartan mentality, her relentless discipline, and her absolute refusal to back down from a fight. That type of golden endorsement is enormous. Because when the legends believe in you, the tournaments and the sponsors start believing in you too, and the praise does not stop with the current world number ones. Even Maria Sharapova has reportedly spoken highly of Alex Eala's limitless potential and cultural influence. Sharapova understands perfectly what it means to transcend the sport. She did not just win Grand Slams. She became a global cultural phenomenon, a fashion icon, and a business mogul. She understands branding, mainstream influence, and raw star power better than almost anyone alive. According to insider discussions, Sharapova sees something incredibly rare and special in Eala. She does not just see a good tennis player, she sees a cultural icon in the making. That is a staggering statement, because very few athletes ever truly transcend their sports. Very few players become powerful symbols for an entire generation or a massive geographical region. But Eala is slowly surely becoming exactly that for Filipino tennis and for millions of young Asian athletes watching from their living rooms around the world. She represents pure, unadulterated possibility. And that kind of emotional connection is the most powerful currency in sports. Now compare this meteoric, unstoppable rise to Paula Badosa's current situation. Badosa's legacy is secure. Nobody can take away her hard-earned achievements. At her absolute peak, her heavy power game and fierce intensity made her a terrifying opponent, but the mechanics of professional tennis move at light speed, and sometimes undeniable momentum matters far more than past reputation. Right now, Alex Eala holds all the cards. The headlines are hers, the roaring crowds are hers, and now the Grand Slam organizers are making her the priority. What makes this ongoing story even more impressive is the crushing weight of the pressure she now carries on her shoulders. Every single tournament she enters is now burdened with massive expectations. Fans expect thrilling deep tournament runs. The media expects viral headlines and sound bites. Corporate sponsors expect maximum global visibility. Harsh critics expect absolute perfection. That is a terrifying amount of weight for a young athlete to carry. But somehow, match after match, she keeps handling it with a smile. And now comes the ultimate test, the biggest opportunity of her young life, the French Open main draw. Stepping onto the crushed red brick of Roland Garros as a main draw player is one of the most prestigious milestones in a tennis player's life. This is not some ordinary run-of-the-mill tour event. This is one of the 4 pillars of the sport. This is the grueling clay court battlefield where legends are forged in sweat and where pretenders are quickly exposed. The pressure in Paris is different. The air feels heavier. Every single point requires maximum physical extortion. Alex Eala will walk into that chaotic environment, not as a desperate qualifier fighting for scraps, but as a recognized, feared main draw competitor. Psychologically, that changes the entire dynamic. It means the tennis establishment officially recognizes her as a peer among the elite. From everything leaking out of her training camp, Eala is pushing her body harder than ever right now. Sources suggest she is isolating herself, fully focused on preparing for the unique leg-burning physical intensity of clay court tennis. Clay demands endless patience, superhuman endurance, flawless sliding movement, and unbreakable mental toughness. The grueling 20-shot rallies can destroy players mentally if they are not prepared to suffer. But Eala seems fiercely determined to prove to the world and to players like Badosa that she deserves this golden ticket. She wants to unleash the absolute best version of herself on court Philippe Chatrier. Honestly, Roland Garros 2026 could become the defining moment of her career. If she performs well, if she strings together a few magical victories, her popularity will explode into the stratosphere. Imagine her making a deep run into the second week. Imagine the deafening roar of the Parisian crowd. Imagine the pressure it would instantly put on the rest of the WTA Tour. That is exactly why every player in the locker room is watching her every move. Alex Eala is no longer a cute story about a young talent with potential. She is a rapidly approaching storm. She is becoming a disruptive force in women's tennis. And whether Paula Badosa or the rest of the old guard likes it or not, the landscape of the sport is permanently shifting before our very eyes. The French Open has made its controversial historic decision. The future is officially arriving on the red clay, and her name is Alex Eala. So as the world turns its eyes to Paris, the ultimate question remains: can Alex Eala actually shock the globe at Roland Garros, silence her doubters, and prove that putting her directly into the main draw was a stroke of genius? Or will the crushing weight of global expectations finally prove to be too much for the rising superstar?